All right, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We got another edition of the Pocket Change Market Report to help get your weekend started. This is the first one for the month of July. I would like to say that we are officially on the second half of the year. This year has been quite a blur, especially in the coin market. Nothing really specific. I think the whole coin market has just been, I would say, exceeding a lot of folks' expectations. And it doesn't really matter if you're selling some of those high-graded coins, like I talk about on the Monday market reports. Of course, those come up either Sunday or Monday, however the crow flies. But also the smaller cap asset type stuff, like varieties, errors, minor key dates like 1950D Jefferson Nickels. I mean, everything's just been selling. And even if the overall value of some of the coins hasn't necessarily gone up, we have seen just incredible spikes in the amount of coins that's being traded out on the marketplace today. Of course, one of those places is eBay. And the Pocket Change Market Report is just a general title of this video. I've done over a year's worth of PCMRs, and haven't really brought it up until now, but the Pocket Change Market Report could be a misnomer, but it's any coin that you identify and have found that has anything special going on with it that's legitimate, right? No make-believe errors or fairy tale land type stuff in this video, but if you go through coin rolls, you find some pretty neat items, varieties error-wise, or if you cherry pick at a local show or coin shop, this is probably for you. And when I mean small cap, coins that are inexpensive enough where you don't have to grade them. Grading, generally involves sending the coins out to a third-party authentication company like PCGS or NGC. As you guys know, that takes time and money, not exactly cheap either. And what's the end result? Most of the time you're going to get a coin that's worth just the same amount of money as if it was raw and ungraded. So that's what we forecast on this video, is we take a look at the last 24 to 48 hours of sales on eBay of some of the most relevant errors and varieties that were found and subsequently sold as raw, and you get to see how much money people make. There are a few quite nice coins that, me personally, I look at them, I'm like, I can't believe that one's not in a third-party holder. There are some there that are going to be purchased and sent off to the graders. That's kind of inescapable. People look for deals like that, and it's up to them whether they want to flip it. Graded coins, especially of the more rarer or scarce errors, will certainly command a lot more money in a third-party holder as they would raw. So, you get to see it all on here. And this will help kind of, boost your guys' confidence when you go out there, you buy some rolls from the bank, or you go to that local shop or show. It'll give you something to kind of like consider. This is a possibility. People do this to supplement their income. While you're not going to make tens of thousands of dollars unless, you're rolling high like that. A few $200 or $300, $400, $500 a week is certainly possible. But you gotta know what to look for. All right, enough of the jibber jabber. Thank you again for your support and checking out my video for the day. And best of luck in your hunting endeavors. Let's go ahead and get started with the first coin. And it's going to be this 1971 S Eisenhower Dollar. All right, it is a proof strike, so your eyes are certainly not tricking you this time around. This is a proof coin, and the coin as it sits is a clad. I believe it's a clad. Yeah, I think it's a clad. This is a clad dollar. They do make 40% silver proofs as well, so keep that in mind. This one right here is in the original government holder, as they're issued as a singular coin. And this one right here is the peg leg R variety. All right. Aside from that, with the peg leg R also comes a relative. I would say it's a relatively minor double die obverse and double die reverse. So it's got a couple different, it's a dual variety coin is what I like to call it. This one is also FS401 in the Cherry Picker's Guide. Upon closer examination, you can see the peg leg R here. Now, the reason why they call it that is it's missing its little serifs. Okay, if you look at the bottom of the E right here and the T's, you can see how they kind of flare out toward the base. This one is missing that. So it's generally just an over polishing of the die at this point right here to completely eliminate the serifs. But when I talk relatively minor doubling, you could see it on a lot of the devices, especially any of the letters and stars. Here's the initials here. You can see just the split in certain areas in the initials. You can see kind of that notching here on this device. You could see the split with a little bit of a notch on the stars. And then here's one of the letters on the reverse. You can see a really nice strong notch here, and then a split line that goes all the way up the tail of this, what I think is the letter R in probably America on the reverse. But this is what you're going to look for. You can't. This is. I mean, the peg leg R you could catch from a mile away without the aid of a magnifier. But you know, if you wanted to get in close to actually see if this has the doubling on both the obverse and the reverse of the coin, you would need a pretty nice magnifier. Anything I would say 10 times power and higher will certainly fit your needs on this one. But this one in the original holder sold for $54.15, where typically it's about a $20 coin, all right, as it sits in the original government holder without the varieties. Our first clip, among a few clips in this video, we have a nice curved clip on a 1978 Jefferson Nickel, as you can see that right here. And this was also one of those coins that was talked about. If you guys had the pleasure of joining us this past Monday on the live coin Q&A channel, we actually had special guest and author of the book Mint Errors to Die For, Joseph Cronin. He actually talked about some errors that are not errors at all. And we also touched upon clips. All right, so with the clip coin right here, you almost certainly need to see a Blakesley effect, which is a flattening on the opposite side of the coin from where the clip is. So directly across right here, you can see this flattened rim edge. That's kind of one of the diagnostical features you look for clip coins. Clip coins have been, you know, fraudulently counterfeited on a few occasions as an error, mostly to deceive the buying, you know, the error people that do buy up these coins. And, you know, always make sure that you see the Blakesley effect and that you see that the actual rim tapers into the clip. All right. Usually on the fake clip coins, they don't do that. But that, you know, it's the finer details such as those two that really sets this apart, you know, from anything else. This coin sold for a very modest $9.89. Singular clips sell for a lot less than, say, double clips and triple clips, which do exist out there. All right, the next one we have here is actually a 2-coin set. Both Lincoln Memorial coins are from the year 2000. They're both struck in Philadelphia. You can tell that just from the omission of any sort of mint mark on here. But we have one example that it's off-center by about 10-15%. That's the one that you see there on the left. And on the right, we have a slightly broad struck example of that same date. And here are the reverse images of these two coins. This lot right here sold for $14.50. You've heard me say this before. Keep an eye out for multi-coin lots to see if there's any opportunity to buy them at a very cheap level and possibly turn around and sell them, you know, and make 2-3 times the money. We actually have one really good lot on the list that sold for a lot less than what the expected value is for the sum of the coins. But this particular lot, I mean, it's only 2 coins, you know, $14.50. There's really not a whole lot of money to be made here. This is a good lot to buy if you want nice high-grade specimens of one or both of these errors, which are quite common for 98 to 2001 as far as Lincoln dates go. All right, so for this coin right here, we have a Connecticut Statehood quarter. This one is a 1999 P. Hard to believe that this thing is over 20 years old. I remember when the series first came out, it was all the rage. People were just ready for some sort of multi-year commemorative program. But here you go. Pretty cool looking coin here. Some would say that this is either like a broad strike or a partial tilted collar. You know, I would be more inclined to say it's a broad strike, and the reason why is that the edge is completely smooth. So there was obviously no collar whatsoever holding this coin in the striking chamber when it was being produced. The colorization of the previous photos is the lighting, you know, so don't mention like, oh, I think that one is missing clad layer. It's not. It's just the lighting effects are a little bit on the rich kind of reddish brown side, and you could see that on the actual master image. So this one right here is sold for $22.98. Again, it's a relatively minor looking error that gets passed up quite a bit. You can just look at the previous images and see all the wears. You know, it's got nicks and stuff, so it's definitely circulated. It has a little bit of what I believe is machine doubling on the front profile right here. Pretty neat effect, but it doesn't really add a whole heck of else a lot to the value of the coin. But yeah, not bad, 23 bucks. All right, so the next one that we have here, and it's like the minor stuff like this that really does count. Now, the coins will not like sell out in a heartbeat. These are coins to help supplement your other items on your eBay store. So I would certainly look for stuff like this. This is actually a 2019 Philadelphia struck Jefferson Nickel with the reverse die chips. Some call these beehive type die chips because they're attached to the building. There's even a little tiny one right here as well. But this is a much earlier progression of this die chip, only because you don't have a fully built formed die chip yet, much like this one here. But this is pretty cool. I mean, they are minor. These usually command kind of like the lowest amount of money out there in the market today. And this one sold for $4.99. Now, I don't talk about these that often, but they're pretty neat when they come across. And it's hard to believe that this coin appears to have circulated. It's got its fair share of gunk and grease on there to suggest that. But we have a Lincoln Memorial cent that it looks like it's double struck. But because you didn't have a primary strike happen on this one, this is what is called a saddle strike. So this coin was in between two individual strikes, and as you can see, this is the end result. Sometimes you see like this middle section kind of warped and curved, and this one is relatively clean. This one right here is sold for $50. You just don't see these that often. Up next is probably one of the big dogs of the doubled die world of Lincoln Memorial cents. This is the 1972 DDO. This is number 1. All right, so this is the big, very bad, and very explosive double die that you look for. These are, I can't believe the volume of these coins that are being found even to this day. But you also have to know that there are a number of other doubled die types for 1972, and they are all, for the most part, on the Philadelphia. There's a couple minor ones on the Denver. Actually, there's a really good one on the Denver struck coins, but the Philadelphia, there's the first 10 DDOs are amazing. All right, I believe they're all Cherry Picker's Guide varieties. But this one right here is FS101. You can just see the doubling in not only the date, Liberty, but also the motto, "In God We Trust." This one you can see a mile away, and you know, if you had one of these in hand, they're really easy to see. But obviously, at this grade, this one was probably plucked from a BU roll. You know, but you know, in any event, very, very nice, presentable, full red example. Sold for $425, which is quite remarkable considering that about 2 years ago, these raw examples in this particular type grade state have been selling for about $200 to like $250. So it's nice to see these climb up in value even as a raw coin. This is one of my favorite varieties to look for if you're an avid, I guess, weed scent hunter. I like to buy just bags of weed scents and go through them to look for coins like this. Now, at first glance, the coin doesn't look like anything spectacular. It's a nice circulated example. You know, outside of the variety that I'm going to show you, the coin is probably worth about 3-4 cents. But this is the D over D repunch mint mark. This one features a D west of the primary D mint mark, and this one is simply irresistible and unmistakable. You can just find everything that you need to on this variety. This one is also FS501 in the Cherry Picker's Guide, and this one sold for $29.15. In addition, the same seller had a 1949 S. This one is also a repunch mint mark. I believe, oh, I didn't write it down. I believe this one was RPM number 1 or 5. I don't know. But there you go. There's the second S is west of the primary right here. So you can see this outer curl. And here's the bottom part of the S right there. And this one right here in its current state of condition, which looks a little bit better than the 56D before it, also sold for $29.15. This one is not recognized in the Cherry Picker's Guide. And a lot of the repunch mint marks are not. You're going to have to go on sites like DoubleToDie.com, Variety Vista, Copper Coins, which is Chuck Daughtry's site, and really just kind of, you know, hammer down on some of those attributions. There are a lot of them that you probably didn't even know exist, and I'm pretty sure a good deal of them have probably passed through your hands. I know they have mine, so. A 1998 Lincoln Memorial Scent. This one is slightly off-center by about, I don't know, like 7-8%, you know, give or take. You know, the reverse shows the cutaway into the devices, which indicates a nice off-center strike. This one right here is a pretty decent example as well. I would venture to guess it's mint state red. It does have a few little like fingerprint lines on there, which over time will get distracting and turn black. This one sold for $16.38. Not too bad. Now, on the other end of the spectrum, grade-wise, we have this 1976 Jefferson Nickel. It's not pretty. This one was vastly ignored for many years before it was finally discovered as a pretty neat little coin. And what we have here is a pretty obvious lamination peel on the obverse that's detached, and this was after the strike, but you can just see this whole area right here. A rather defective planchet at one point. You usually don't see them in coins of the 70s, so this one was kind of surprising, but yeah, this bad boy right here has seen a lot of cash register action. This one sold for $16. Again, you know, if it looks like crap, it probably is someone else's treasure, so I would say it's worth pulling this out to sell for $16. Not an easy date to find for an off-center struck coin, so this one definitely would appeal to some of those folks that do collect these by date. But what we have here is a 1968D Lincoln Memorial Scent. It was struck off-center approximately 45%. What's really cool is not only its condition is suitable for a collector of this type, but you have a cleanly defined and legible date and mint mark. That's very important to the for off-center collectors of this type. This one sold for $28.75. Now here's that lot that I was talking about. This is actually a lot of 40 Lincoln cents that's sold all together for $152.50. Now this is kind of like the main picture, but if you went back and took a look at this particular listing, the seller did photograph them in batches of like 8 or 9 coins, so that way you could see all of the different dates and types in there. But wow, $150 for 40 coins puts it under $4 per coin. And as we've seen from some of the other off-center struck coins, whether they have a full date or not, the going rate is between $10 and $15. So whoever picked this one up did so at a really tremendous rate. I would say that all the coins are very flippable. I know I'm only looking at a few, but a lot of them have full dates on there. I don't know what the deal is with this 1970. I mean, it looks completely centered, so I'm really not none too pleased with that coin by itself. But yeah, this is a coin you could probably, after fees and shipping, you could probably double your money really easily on this lot. $152.50. Again, if you can identify some of these lots and it's going for way too cheap, I would probably consider jumping in and throwing a bid or two in there. You never know. I mean, you know, $150 profit doesn't seem like a whole lot considering all the work and stuff you have to do to image them and all that. But man, if you made 3 times your money in any which way possible, why not? I mean, look at this 72D. That's going to be a tough date by itself. And I can imagine that coin right there by itself will be a $25 to $30 coin all by itself. So you recognize minor details. You take a look at the whole kind of lot as it is and make a determination. $150 for this lot is way too cheap for what you're getting. My favorite date, a 1969S, is loaded with possibilities. I mean, the big one, of course, is a coin that will change everybody's lives, and that's the 69S DDO. Man, I've yet to find one, and I'm kind of like on the fence of whether or not I would sell it if I did come across it, or keep it, because, you know, it's a once-in-a-lifetime find. I know of a few people have found 2 or 3 of them, which is just crazy to me, but that just gives you an idea of how many coins they search through. But, you know, yeah, the volume of coins you search definitely makes all the difference in the world for success in this game. 69S. So what do we have here? You guys probably already seen it. We have what appears to be a floating roof, or pretty close to it. That's how it was pitched in this listing. You do see very faint lines, kind of like that connector line that separates this part of the roof to the actual main building. I mean, you can make the argument it is a floating roof, and the initials are a little weak. So this is just a result of an over-polished die, and it's sold for $9.95. These have been embraced as more of a novelty than anything else. It's the same with the In God We Rust quarter, and you know, the floating toupee Lincoln cent from what, 2009, things like that. They're just an oddity, and you know, people do love them, and this one is in pretty nice shape. So, you know, if you came across a full roll of these and half of them were floating roofs, heck, go ahead and post them for $10 a piece. You'll thank me later. All right, and then we have a few silvers here. We got 1946S. Now, this one is in tremendous shape for being a first-year date, Roosevelt dime. But really, the secret to all this is this RPM. This is an S over S. The second S is struck north of the primary S. All right, so by the compass pointer, that's where this one sits. This one is also RPM number 13, and it's also classified as FS 503 in the Cherry Picker's Guide. And I'm happy to say that this one sold for $32.95. That's a really solid sale. Now here's a coin that has gone up in value in just the last 12 to 24 months, but we have a really nice example of a 2006 Philadelphia Colorado Statehood quarter. This one, of course, you can see has the Cud die break right here at the 9 o'clock position on the reverse. Goes into the actual design. This was a coin, again, you know, as recently as about a year ago, you could pick up for between $5 and $7 because they're just that plentiful. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we're seeing less of them. The market has exploded in the last year, and as a result, this one has commanded a little bit more money this time. This one sold for $19.99. All right, well, holy smothering Sacagaweas. How this one is not in a graded holder is a total mystery to me. All right, so we gotta send out the Scooby-Doo gang to kind of investigate this one because it's I don't know. But what we have here is the 1943D Steely. It is, of course, a one-shot type affair, but yeah, it's broad struck. If you haven't seen that yet, then there you go. So this thing was struck without the aid of a collar to keep the coin in the striking chamber, and voila. The metal flow has to go somewhere, and this thing had, it looks like a paper plate right now. But, you know, errors on this coin, on this specific date of coin, are extremely desirable because, you know, of course, we were into World War II at this time, and they were rationing other metals and substituting and doing the whole, you know, musical chairs thing, or, you know, whatever. And this has become one of the most popular singular dated coins here recently, I would say within the last 5 years. High-grade examples are shooting through the moon and into the stratosphere, and any sort of errors, if they come up in the market, are being scooped up faster than you could say cat in a hat. This one right here, a best offer was accepted. The original ask was $505.44. That's only because I added in shipping. I believe it was like $4.99 and 95 cents or something. But yeah, I would say probably $300 to $400 was the acceptance area for this rarity, but you're probably never going to see another one of these on the good old PCMR anytime soon. Pretty unique coin right here. Alright, so this one right here, I was a little bit kind of like on the fence about because it's a 2004D Wisconsin State Quarter, and the pictures are really not good. And that's probably why I have a lot of hesitancy to saying, yeah, this is indeed a legit low leaf. I mean, you could see a little bit of what could possibly be the low leaf right there, but at the same time, a scratch can duplicate that kind of appearance. Like, you don't see the tip of the leaf as it makes this bend. You might a little bit, but again, this is where taking quality, clear, and concise photos is certainly going to help your cause. Now, I will tell you this coin did sell. The seller originally asked $125 for this coin, but a best offer was accepted. I'm going to say 60 to 80 bucks is kind of like a roundabout figure. But yeah, photos are extremely important if you are going to be successful at selling coins on eBay. We do have a number of pretty cool looking off-center struck Washington quarters, and they're all in fantastic shape. Starting out with this 1985 Philadelphia. Now, it does appear like it's circulated a little bit. It's got little scratches in the fields and on the devices right here as well. But this one is off-center struck by about 10%, and this one sold for $22.50. My personal favorite is the 83P that you see here. This one is just an incredibly high-grade example. Very, very nice. This one, however, is off-center by about 20%, and, you know, features a full date and everything like that. It looks like there is a scratch right here that goes across the right side of the coin, and that might have suppressed the value of this coin just a scad. It sold for $44, which, it's not bad, but we are talking a little bit tougher date of Washington quarter. And then finally, here's a no date example. This one is way off center, probably 90%-ish, give or take. But you know, you have some of the most relevant design pieces on there, even though it's not a date. You have some of the letters in Liberty. It always helps that you have the first couple letters of Liberty. And you also have quarter on there as well. So, you know, it shows just enough detail to make it a very attractive piece to buy, and because of that, this one sold for $28. Our subject coin of the week is one that you should be trying to find in any capacity. It could be a nice brown circulated VF, or it could be something like this, which looks like it came out of a mid-state roll. But this is the dual variety 1960 DDO. It's also got the RPM on the Denver Mint Mark as well. So this is what they call the large date over small date variety. And every time one of these gets found, I found probably pretty close to 10. I think like 8 or 9. of this example. I have one that's graded in an annex holder. It's like a mid-state 64 or something. But all the other ones I've sold, I have not sold one for under like $45. I think 45 was the lowest I've sold these for in a kind of like a, you know, XF 40 grade, you know, nothing spectacular. But this one right here is extremely clean. If you want a close-up, that's what that looks like there. You can actually see the smaller 6 under the large 6 right here. And the RPM, the D is north. You can see it very faintly right here. The pictures are not fantastic, but I knew exactly what it was when I laid eyes on it. Fantastic. This is a great variety, and this one sold for $104.99. Mint state examples have routinely sold for over $100. If you get them graded and they come back like a 65, well, that's a pretty good coin. It's probably like $200 to $300 in that grade. So this is a nice, simple, elementary error to look for. It's a 1955D Lincoln Wheat Cent. You probably already see it. This one has a little BIE die chip there in Liberty, which is its namesake, because some of them look long enough to be the letter I in there. But believe it or not, this individual that sold this coin also identified it as a doubled die obverse. This is the WDDO in the Wexler's file as being number 5. And what it really is it's got the doubled eyelid. You can see that right here. That's really the only doubling on the coin. It's not going to knock your socks off like some of the other doubled eyelids, but this is just one such coin among many that have the doubled eyelids, and they go all the way back into the 40s. So, you know, if you want, you got some free time, look for the doubled eyelids. They're worth it. Surprisingly, this one sold for $29.15. BIE coins by themselves sell for between $5 and $10, depending on grade. But being that this is a buy and a DDO combined, that's where a lot of the value went to. Whoa, speaking of clips, baby, here's a 69S. Again, my favorite date in the world for Lincoln Memorials. It's got 1, 2, 3, count them, 3 curved clips on there, along with all sorts of Blakesleys. You can see the flattening right here, and wow, I mean, it's a good looking coin. Yeah, it sold for $48.66. Well, I don't want to give it too much credit. $48.66. Good looking coin. I don't know what's the deal with the toning here on the reverse. It's got a little bit of blue peripheral toning on both sides. So this was probably in an album, I would guess, but yeah, it's not bad. Almost 50 bucks for this thing. Now, wait a minute, Blue Ridge, did you just put a silver bar in your PCMR? Well, yeah, silly. This is part of it too. I mean, there are some pretty rare bars that you could find out there in the wild today, and mostly it's going to be at a show or a shop. And all they do is sell just kind of like a big old tray of scrap silver of all types. 999 fine, you know, 925 sterlings, 90%. But wow, this one right here from 1972 is what they call the General bar. It's got that locomotive along with the coal car behind it. And this was actually sold as an error. All right, so if you look here at these initials here on this coal cart, it says WB.A.A.R.R. All right, and I guess the error is they put one too many A's in there, and this was only supposed to be ARR. So I don't know. Take it for what it is. Don't know. For those of you that stack silver and know this stuff, maybe you guys could chime in and provide your professional assistance on stuff like this. But there you go. And it is a personalized monogram type of bar. So it's got the thanks, Ernie, from Bert. No, Ted Weldon. Sorry. Couldn't help myself. So it was dated September 1989. Don't know what this dollar figure accounts for, but it's a 999 fine from the Madison Mint General bar. Sold for $58.96, shipping included. That just gives you an idea of how crazy the PM market is. Considering that spot is what, $27, $28, so this thing sold for over double You know, I know people really don't do the whole error and variety thing of bars quite as astutely as some of the coin people do. But wow, incredible. There is a lot of collectability with some of these bars. Lincoln Memorial Cent. This one was actually sold by Eagle Eye Rare Coin, and that's actually Rick Snow's eBay. He's the Indian Head Cent attributor. All right, so we have a few of his coins on tap here. This one right here was struck through what I would say is a little bit later stage die cap. So it had a die cap on that good old hammer die, and this thing was struck. He even said that this might even be like a 1970D, which does have a mint mark, and it looks like a 1-9 and possibly a 7 right there. So he did that with a question mark. Not completely sure if that was the case, but this one sold for $15. All right. We have an off-center struck Jefferson Nickel. So this time around, we don't have any date on here. This one is off-center by about 70%, 75%. And this one also sold for $15. I believe this was also Rick Snow's other listing. All right, photos, man, they do count. And this time we have a $20 bill that did not have a front of bill image, just the reverse. So I don't know what the rhyme or reason or whatever is for not having that particular photo in the listing, but it's pretty important. So when you're doing currency, take a full shot of both the front and back and add it in there with close-ups of whatever you need to. But this one right here has an obvious insufficient inking section here on the reverse on the left-hand side, which pretty easy to see. This one right here is ungraded, but it should be graded, I would say. Through 13 bids, sold for $152.49. Another piece of currency, another really nice error. This is a 1993 $1 FRN, and this one right here has a badly misaligned third printing. You can see just the serial number and district seals and all the quad numerals for the districts, all overlapping the first print design. And that's what you want to see with the misaligned printing, is if there's any overlappage, that's where a lot of the value goes into. Look at the 2 here above the signature. This one right here, through 22 bids, sold for $77.99. That's a pretty good sale right there on something like this. And there's the back of the note for you. Nothing of note here. Get it? Note. And finally, we are going to end it off on one of the most unique looking errors. This time it's another saddle strike Lincoln Cent. Much more crazy than the first saddle strike that we exhibited at the beginning of the video. But really, look at this thing. If I didn't know any better, this thing has circulated a lot. And I just don't know how. Like, you know, it's just, this thing looks like it came out of pocket change. And this is one of those instances where I'm completely speechless, because you're left wondering, you know, how in the world did this ever make it, you know, in circulation for so many years based off of its actual toning color through just circulation use. And I don't know. I really don't know. But it's a saddle strike. It's one of the most rarest coins error-wise to find out there. These are generally found in full mint sewn bags, which you could only find prior to 2003. I learned that the other day. They don't make the mint sewn bags anymore because they go through, you know, third-party companies that sort them and roll them up and send them off to the banks. But this one right here features no date, which is a bummer. I kind of wish this one had a date. It would just make this one a whole lot more special. I could say that for sure. Through 42 bids, this one closed out at $135.45. That is a pretty solid sale right there. And I'm happy to end it off on this one. It was a lot of fun talking to you guys about errors and varieties. Sold on eBay. Go out there, search for yourself, and find your lion's share, because I'm bound to say that there are some other coins that you can find out there in any which way possible. But that's going to go ahead and do it. I'm your host, Sean, with Blue Ridge Silverhound, and it was fun. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe if you haven't done so already. hit that bell for instant notifications. A little quick note, on Monday we will still be doing our live coin Q&A live stream. So go ahead and check it out, hit your subscribe, and show your support for our channel. It sure was a pleasure. I want to thank you guys. Have a wonderful 4th of July weekend. Be safe out there. And Coinaholics, what do I always say? We are always discovering together. You guys take care, and I will see you on the next coin video.